we have that big game coming up here, man. The University of Miami's taking on Ole Miss. And if you had to pick these two teams going into the college football playoff, saying they'd be in this position, I would have bet you any kind of money that neither one of these teams are in here. But Miami, shout out to Miami last week, putting on one hell of a show, just taking it to Ohio State. I was shocked. I had no idea that was actually going to happen at all. I was on record on here saying I think that Ohio State is just going to shellac them. I don't think there's going to be much of a game at all. I kind of thought it'd be good in the first, and then it just kept on going, man. Miami looked extremely impressive. Mr. G. Mike, I will give you the floor for this one, my friend. That is your team. That is your you. Enjoy your moment, my man.
Dude, I'm glad that they proved me wrong because I had Ohio State winning that game, and just because of the fact that I thought they were more powerful on offense compared to us, right? But that pick six, that first touchdown, it was going back and forth in the beginning of the game. It was just 0-0, but then when we got that first touchdown, and then it just led to that momentum. That pick 6-2 that we got as well, that just put the stomping on them, and then Ohio State looked like they got punched so hard in the mouth that they didn't know what to do, and they were dazed for hours and hours and hours, and then, I don't know, they couldn't get back into the game, and it looked like the U just kept running off with it. But if it wasn't for that pick six, man, I really thought, and I actually texted Charles here, and like, yo, if it wasn't for that pick six, man, I think this game would have gone down to the wire, and it would have been anybody's game.
BC, man, what's your thoughts on this one? Because I think we're all in the same boat. We were all kind of just saying that we thought Miami, it's a good story that they made it this far, but they're not the real deal, and they're not going to be able to hang with the big boys in Ohio State. Proved us wrong, man. Did you pick Ohio State this one? I can't remember.
Yeah, no, I think this is the one game I think everybody was consensus Ohio State. Yeah. And it, again, like G. Mike alluded to, that pick six was so crucial. Defense, it can still prove to win championships here in college football. So that, and also too, I believe it was like 5 or 6 sacks the Canes had, if I'm not mistaken, on Ohio State. Like that, that's very key right there. So if you're able to get pressure on the quarterback, you're getting these long second, long third downs, and you're also forcing turnovers on top of that, it's going to lead to a short field. And Carson Beck, he had a solid game manager game. You know, it was like 130, 140 yards and a touchdown. Not elite by any stretch, but it was just enough with the short field that offense was given. And you're going to take those points any chance you can. If you can cash in on turnovers, you can cash in on short field position. And Miami did that. And Ohio State, they failed to live up to the hype. And on top of that, you get upset. Probably the biggest upset in the playoffs history. So, but they've got no one to blame but themselves for that one.
Charles, I know you was watching intently in this game here, man. What's your thoughts on what you saw live, man?
Oh, no, definitely. I feel you guys. There was no reason to believe Miami should win the game. But at the end of the day, Miami's kind of jumping off on defense in a way that kind of screams. Like when you watch the NFL level, there's a lot of teams that stand out on defense that you see it and you just go, that's a team to mess with. But with Miami, they didn't get that same respect because that's kind of been a newer thing from them in the second half of the year in terms of producing the sacks. We're leading this playoffs in sacks, obviously, like you just mentioned. Kept both teams to 17 points total between 2 games, 2 great teams. Yep. Like you mentioned, again, Carson Beck has just kind of been more of a game manager, and I think that's all you've really needed from him. But I think the perception was this team can't score enough points. He has games where he throws 3 interceptions. They turn the ball over. They get a little frantic. They lose the run game, and then suddenly, they're just out of it. But they've been so good on defense that it really doesn't matter what you get on offense. I still thought, hey, if you don't put up 20 points, you're probably not going to win either of these games. I thought 17 was kind of the line, we'd have to play perfect to win with 17 points. But even that has been blown out of the water. So going into the Ole Miss game, I know we'll head that direction in a second, but it's a nice surprise to see that Miami can consistently be so great on defense because we're flying no matter what happens. It used to be you get 2 or 3 drives that can kind of get halted for Miami, and then it's like, oh, here we go, an interception, the game's kind of getting out of hand, blah, blah, blah. But now it's like, regardless of what's happening on offense, this defense is showing up, and you can win a championship, obviously, with that.
Yeah, I agree, man. The defense is definitely carrying this team without a doubt. And I think that the term game manager gets kind of thrown around a little bit too much. It's almost like it's a negative. That just also means you didn't make any crazy mistakes and didn't have to do anything bad, Like Carson Beck, they're not asking you to be Patrick Mahomes. They're not asking you to be anything that you're not. Just manage the game, don't make interceptions, and don't make bad boneheaded plays, and let that defense dominate like they did. And if they can continue to do that, Miami has a damn good chance against Ole Miss. got to give credit to Ole Miss though too. I thought that they were going to lose. Honestly, I thought they were going to be able to not be able to make it to this next round. And we were all talking about with the coaching and all the situation they had going on there. They ended up having out one of the most exciting games against Georgia and ended up winning out that game. So I'm really excited to see how this continues to go on. I mean, and it's kind of cool too because in the Final Four, you have pretty much all the major conferences being represented finally. You know, you got the ACC in Miami, you got Ole Miss in the SEC, you got the Big Ten in Oregon, and you got the Big Ten in Indiana as well. But it's nice to see maybe a fresh new faces in here. Miami, out of this group, is the only teams that's actually won a national championship. So that's a really cool factor, and this is exactly what was supposed to happen whenever they created this whole playoff system that gives teams opportunity to get in different spots. We're not seeing the same olds anymore. So, G-Mike, what's your scale of confidence in this Miami game, though?
Very high. I was actually praying that Ole Miss would beat Georgia just because Georgia, their defense has always shown for themselves in the last few, 5, 6, 7 years. So I thought, if we would go up against Georgia, it would be a tough game, obviously. I could be wrong because of what will happen with Ohio State, right? But I feel like Georgia's defense was at the same level as Ohio State's. Like you mentioned, Carson Beck not doing any turnovers, playing safe, getting the balls to his right guys, giving to the playmakers, let them do the work. So he'll probably do the same thing against either Georgia or Ole Miss, or whichever one that we're going to win the game. But I was just hoping Ole Miss will win the game because I think their weapons on offense aren't as great as Ohio State's. So if we play great against Ohio State and we got so many sacks, I think we could do the same thing to Ole Miss.
Yeah, Ole Miss can definitely score there too. So it's going to be a lot of the same situation, I feel like, with as it was with Ohio State. Ole Miss is a damn good offense as well, so you can't sleep on them. They're going to have to score. Obviously, Miami is for them to be able to hang in this game here. Yeah. BC, what about you, man? How do you feel about this one? Do you think Miami or Ole Miss? How do you feel in this?
Well, I mean, both schools definitely did go up against top-tier defenses this past weekend for sure. And one thing I thought just was really interesting with the Ohio State game is the fact that they have two of the top-rated linebacker prospects, and neither of them really had great games, anything memorable to speak of in that game. And also, too, Georgia also has one of the top-rated linebacker prospects. So a lot of good elite defensive players for both teams. But, I think this is going to be one of the closer games. I think this will be an exciting one for sure. I don't know because Ole Miss has done a good job of taking care of the ball. Chambliss, I think, has only had this season, 3 interceptions. So he does a good job of not turning the ball over. So it's going to be interesting to see how Miami's sack-happy, turnover-happy led defense, how they do, if the turnover chain is going to be popping the whole game, or if Chambliss is going to be able to keep the ball out of their hands and maybe play a more secured, kind of grounded game. It's going to be interesting. But if we're going for predictions now, I think Miami does pull it away in a close one. I'm going to keep the Cinderella dream alive.
All right, Charles, man, what's in an X factor you think going into this Miami Ole Miss game?
I think Mark Fletcher running the ball is going to have to be a huge piece of this. Again, I don't think being a game manager or anything like that is ever a bad thing. You can win a championship with it. You can win a Super Bowl with it. You can get a lot done. But I do think you're going to have all that electricity going on if you're going to be that kind of player, in terms of guys like Bain and the sacks and the turnovers. And, as multiple of you guys have mentioned, Chambliss has been good. He protects the ball. He moves well. He's kind of been the hot commodity lately. I know the other game is kind of the quarterback battle. But, he's made a lot of noise so far and proven himself in this playoff. So he's capable of producing. But I think Miami, instead of trying to match that with Carson Beck, needs to match that with the run game and needs to still get to that 24-point total. Probably, I'm not saying it's going to be a shootout. I think Miami, if they're going to win, and I do think they will win, not to be biased, but I think the defense is just clicking on so many levels right now that even when they don't do well, they bounce back fast. I like just the way they're approaching everything on defense. I like everything. I like the pass rush. I like the corner play. I like the timely gambles. They're not looking too reckless, and it's just paying off. They just look so collected to the point where Chambliss is a guy, he hasn't thrown a lot of picks, as you mentioned, but he has played it safe a lot in the ways where he got a lot of yards after catch. They're one of the teams that does well with that in the country. So I think Miami can pressure him just enough, not necessarily to get turnovers, but enough to keep them in the game and keep it tight. But then I don't want to put all that pressure over Carson Beck. So I would like to see them establish Fletcher early, get that run game going, and then from there start utilizing, obviously the weapons you have. You have a great receiver, young boy, and you have Beck himself, who's capable. He's not a scrub. He's capable, but he hasn't had to do it yet. I just don't like when he forces himself, because then that's when he starts getting, pick happy.
Yeah, whoever wins the turnover battle is going to win this game, I feel.
Yeah, without doubt too. I think I hate to do it, but I think we're all going to go Miami here too. I think I'm picking Miami too, and just for the simple fact of the defense. That defense was something I haven't seen in a long, long time, especially in college. That honestly looked like an NFL level defense right there. The way they were able to just read everything, and they took all the pressure off of Beck. And forgive me, was it Tony? Is that you're the young kid that's supposed to be in high school right now? That kid is
now it's Tony.
That kid
amazing,
man.
Yeah, dude.
Just an absolute X factor in any kind of aspect of the game. That guy is going to make one hell of a, and he's so young, so like that kid only has room to grow. So yeah, I hate to do it just because usually it's bad luck when everybody on a show picks the same team, but how can you not go with the way Miami's playing right now? A little news on this game as well. I guess Charlie Weiss Jr. Is still going to be coaching. It's going to have basically a dual coaching system before they head off to LSU. So that's going to be one last little hurrah for them as well, trying to get this whole debacle that happened now with Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin. So that's going to be an interesting aspect of this game. And one last thing I want to ask you guys, you Miami fans, before we end up out of this. Can we do something with Michael Irving? Can we just keep his ass all on the sideline or something? What the hell is he doing now?
We love it, baby. We love it. Keep him there. We need that energy, doggy.
Hey.
That guy is getting ridiculous.
But that's kind of the Miami culture, right? I mean, we haven't been that for so long because we haven't had any reason to have that level of energy. Anytime we start off well, we get to 5-0, and then we fold at 6. So this is an opportunity to finally have that kind of energy that people go, hey, the U is back. You got all the veterans there. You can look at, let's talk about the Gators, right? I think that's what you got going on in your background there. It's easy. Tebow, you already can list all the stuff.
Taking a belt off and making the show about him. I mean, come on.
No, I know.
A little bit much.
I get that. But at the same time, it's just like a lot of schools around the country can lean on if you say, hey, what are the blue blood basketball programs? Duke, Kentucky, whatever, right? What are the blue blood football programs? Miami's always considered this fringe program, and this is kind of the thing that helps us stand up in a way. I know it's stupid, I know it's annoying, but it hypes up the players, it gets the program going, it brings in recruits, it just highlights some of the great moments and reminds you, hey, we're not just a school that's in the playoff from a weak ACC. We're a team with legendary NFL players. A lot of recent.
Probably. Yeah. I was gonna say. No, I was gonna say it's the most all those championships y'all won in the '90s, early 2000s. Come on, how did people I get it, not everybody's from the school, but come on, there's history, there's tradition, there's something there with Miami football.
Yeah, we always get left out. of that.
Yeah,
so
this is a stepchild of the state or something, which is very weird.
Yeah, and I know Florida State.
It's because we're convicts. We're convicts.
Hey, but you're convicts and rapes, so there you go.
Definitely doesn't scream convicts at all, right? I guess.
Huh?
Michael Irving's doing a fantastic job of not looking like a convict, taking his belt off and whipping something. Yeah, that's nothing about that screams anything like that.
He's only whipping the wall. He's only whipping the wall. Nothing else.
Hey, we all saw that Florida Gator documentary, didn't we?
What do you mean? I mean, Tebow was a fantastic person. That's all that happened, right?
For sure. Tebow is a fantastic person.
That's all that happened.
Who else was on that team? The rest of the team was the Hurricane.
And again, allegedly, allegedly.
You know what they say about the bad apple and the brunch? Bro, the Gators had a whole bunch of bad apples, and Tebow was that good apple. He was
the basket that held it together.
I love that. That's a great analogy.
It's still mind-blowing to think that Hernandez was Tebow's roommate. Just that whole era was just insane, and how Tebow there was never any dirt on Tebow at all because he's just that good of a dude.
Yeah.
Imagine those conversations between Tebow and Aaron Hernandez in a dorm room.
My God,
we need a podcast on that. We need to go back in time. We got a fucking podcast.
He's no, everyone. It's all forgiven. It's all forgiven, Aaron. If you just, if you pray enough. Yeah, but what if someone were to, there's a lot of what ifs.
You just need to repent. You just need to repent.
Bless your hearts. We're sitting there, man. A lot of bless your hearts. We're sitting there. Gosh.